This is Rob and Mike from the McClellan Financial Group of Asante Capital Management, and this is Think Smart with TMFG. Mike, I thought this morning was a great opportunity again to hear from probably one of our favorite speakers at this conference. He's sort of been on the agenda every year. And it's something we don't talk much about because we're always talking about, stocks. But, a big part of our client's portfolio is the bond side. And, there's a lot of different ways you can invest in fixed investments. Historically, clients used to be in GICs, and that was always the way to do it. The only problem is that, the bank's objective was to give you the lowest paying GIC that you could possibly handle, and your job was to try and negotiate the best GIC rate you could possibly negotiate. And then what would happen is the GIC would renew, and they wouldn't call you, they'd just roll it over into a lower rate. So it wasn't sort of working. And the other part I never liked about the GIC world was they're illiquid for the most part. Some of them are tied up for 5 years. You can't get to your money for 5 years. And you get a higher rate of return, but you've really created an illiquid portfolio. So you can't sort of rebalance it. You can't cash some of it in if you needed money. If you do, you got to accept a lower rate. So, we've moved to this bond world and let someone else do it for you. Dave Pleck has been doing this now, he said 30 years. He's been with the firm. So he talked about technology and how it has changed in the bond world. What did you hear?
Well, it was actually interesting. I actually had the privilege to go out with today for dinner last night, and we got to talk all through dinner. And he talked about and technology has not only changed his world, it's changed everything. And we never understood. I remember we went through the .com thing. We all thought this doesn't make sense. The stupid price they're paying for companies and all this stuff. We didn't really gather what technology was going to do to every business across the road. From Amazon to all the stuff that's taken over. But there's an efficiency involved in technology that's unbelievable. And the bond world got rocked from this. Right? Bonds used to be traded blindly. When a trade happened, there was no record of it. You had to hope you're paying the right price. No one knew what you paid for a bond. It was just done. You call a guy up, buy a bond through a brokerage, and that's how the world worked. They went to a system that goes and tracks every trade, is now registered. So everyone sees everything that's happening.
That's happened?
Yeah, immediately, real time. So they know exactly what's been paid for that bond. They know exactly what's been sold for. Now you know exactly the price of what every bond is worth, because all those precedents have now been set. So you can visually see the pricing as it's going on throughout the day.
So we talked about how before, if you were going out onto the market to buy a $100,000, 5-year government bond, you would have to call all these different banks and find out what rate they were going to sell you the bond at. So you'd have to call Merrill Lynch and Bank of America and
it was a bluff game too.
Well, it was. And all you did was whoever gave you the best rate, that's the bond you bought.
Yep.
Right?
And you're hoping you got the right guy, and if two guys are talking and they know you want the bond, they'll raise the price on it.
Absolutely.
So this created this massively efficient market. And now even, he said, 10% of their trades happen between peers, where the bonds are actually never even go through any type of brokerage. There's no buy-sell. There's no commission paid on the two.
So he talked about that. He said that works in North America.
Yep.
Because it came in a few years ago, and now you can do that. So they do, at least half of their trades peer-to-peer, cutting out middleman, which cuts out the costs, which drives up the returns for our clients.
Yep.
In the future, they've talked they're going to be going into Europe and Asia and being able to do the same thing, talking to their peers over there and buying the bonds directly.
It's funny too how slow financially Europe is. From you don't realize that because we don't live there and you don't do business over there. But as soon as you start to talk to people who are doing business over there, they're 10 years behind us.
So think of, let's say, you're going to buy a house, and you have up-to-date information of every single house sale that has happened in that neighborhood you're looking to buy a house in.
Yep.
Like, how much better is your offer going to be to what it should be because you've got better information? Well, that's what's happening in the bond world. They've got up-to-date information for how that bond has been trading, what its history is, to the minute. And then when they go and execute a trade, they get the best price. They put what they want out there. They see all the offers that people are willing to pay for or to give them for the bond, and they push the button to the best offer. It's really simple.
Yeah.
Right? And imagine if that existed in the housing world. Now, you might have data, someone sold a house in this neighborhood a month ago. Well, the market's changed from a month ago. But you have up-to-date information. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I think sometimes we lose appreciation of how much technology has moved all of these businesses ahead. Even our own business. You know, I go back 20, 25 years ago. We used to have to go, and I remember taking the newspaper to manually enter fund prices into an Excel spreadsheet to find someone's portfolio worth. We didn't even have there was no record of where everything was. We have to individually call fund companies and talk to every fund company about how many shares they had that day, put in the prices for that day, just to put together a report to tell someone what they had. And think of how easy this has become now. You know, it's by the second data available to people. There's just massive advancements in the industry.
So I'll use the example. 3 years ago, I couldn't find out what my client's rate of return was to yesterday's close. I can come in tomorrow morning and look at every single client we have and see what their year-to-date return is on every single account they have, or their total portfolio, whichever I choose. I can see what their 12-month return looks like. It's all available to the dollar, to the penny. That wasn't available even 3 years ago.
And beyond that, nowadays with this new access to box that our clients have, is one of the biggest steps I think we've taken in the last few years. Now clients have access to all the information we've worked to gather over the years, and all the financial data that can help them many times in their life is now accessible at their fingertips whenever they need.
So, it's interesting you say that. I, just the other day got my notice of reassessment. And I went on to the CRA website and I downloaded the PDF and I dropped it into my box folder.
Yep.
And it's there now, and I can access it any time. So if I go in and I'm meeting with a bank and I need to provide my most recent tax returns for something, if I'm buying a new car and I'm doing a lease and they want to see my tax returns, I've got everything right there. Yeah. I don't have to go and figure out where it is, which filing cabinet I put it in. It's all electronic.
I was dealing with finance about a month ago, and I remember the girl who I was dealing with, just afterwards she said, "I can't believe how quick and organized you are." And as she was saying things, I was popping them over to her. As she'd mentioned them, they'd be on her desktop within about 5 seconds from my computer. And she says, "Well, how are you doing that?" I said, "Well, it's all there for me."
Yeah. It's tough staying on top of it, though, because it's changing so fast. Yep. I have a couple of friends that refuse to go to Apple and use Apple devices. So they like, the Google device or whatever. But it is interesting. They struggle a lot with some of those devices working. I mean, there's a reason Apple's the most valuable company in the world, because they've figured it out.
Yeah. It's one of the first, it's funny, we came back from a conference in Orlando from Asante, and it's the first time I'm really going to give a huge compliment out and say Asante's doing a good job on technology now. Yeah. They were slow, and we were pushing them for a long time, but they've stepped up, and it's improved tremendously in the last year.
So why do you think some of that is? What goes on there? What was the biggest change that you saw that they made?
I think a lot of it was the demand has been there for a long time, obviously, right? And you have to be competitive today, and people expect more. I mean, the expectation now, people want things quickly. You can't be slow nowadays for any services. I know when I want things, I want them done quickly and now. I'm not willing to wait a day to find out something or wait around for someone to send me something. It has to be easy and quick. And that's where the world is going. And they really acknowledge that, and they're beginning to put their systems toward providing that type of service.
So, when you're traveling, I use Uber a lot. And And so my expectation is I open my phone, I put where I am, it knows where I am, I then put where I want to go, and I hit, Uber and, confirm, and within 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes, I know their car is coming to get me.
Yep.
Tells me how far away they are. I get in the back. If I have luggage, they help me load it. I get in the back. They drive me to my destination. I get out of the car, grab my bag, and go in. But my expectation, because the technology is so good, is I start expecting that in other parts of my life, and it just doesn't exist everywhere.
Yep.
But when you get to experience that other technology, you become loyal.
Yeah, it's nice to actually see that Asante's become part of that. It's one of my the best thing have taken over the last week or so is that we're moving in the right direction.
I think probably the biggest change they made is before they used to try and build all the technology themselves, which, they would go and build some technology and then they would leave it alone for 3 years and it would be outdated very quickly. Today, they work with outside suppliers who are always constantly making their technology better. So every month there's improvements in the technology, that just little things that get better all the time.
I mean, we use Salesforce as our main thing, and Salesforce is a massive company that's growing so quickly. It's taken over all client relationship management software is fallen second to Salesforce now. And it's so broad, it allows you to connect other things like Box can be related to all these other additions we can put onto it. It makes it just this very robust thing to help everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that's a good discussion for today. This is Rob McClellan and Mike Connon from Charlotte, North Carolina with Think Smart with TMFG from the McClellan Financial Group of Asante Capital Management.
You have been listening to the McClellan Financial Group of Asante Capital Management Limited. Asante Capital Management Limited is a member of the Canadian Investor Protection Fund and Investment Industry Regulatory Organization of Canada. Insurance products and services are provided through Asante Estate and Insurance Services Incorporated. This material is provided for general information and is subject to change without notice. Every effort has been made to compile this material from reliable sources, however, no warranty can be made as to its accuracy or completeness. Before acting on any of the above, please make sure to see a professional advisor for individual financial advice based on your personal circumstances.